Conflict is a natural part of life, whether at work, home, or in personal relationships. But navigating it with resilience can strengthen bonds and, of course, promote understanding. Today, we're joined by wellness consultant Lebohang Hlahane, who will share expert tips on turning conflict into an opportunity for growth. Welcome to Afternoon Express, Lebohang. How are you?
I'm well, thanks. And yourself?
I'm fabulous. Thank you so much for joining us. Why is handling conflict a necessary skill for us to have in order to navigate it?
It is necessary to be resilient against conflict, knowing how to deal with it in any given circumstance. How you approach it is quite important. So you need to learn some skills and ways of approaching such. In order for you to have meaningful relationships with people in general, as well as within certain settings, be it the environment, which is the workplace, be it in your personal relationships. It's quite important, and if I might say it's of vital importance, to know how to fix problems.
Yeah. By way of mistakes, what are some of the common mistakes we make when navigating our way around conflict? And how do we build resilience in sort of just coming to circumstances and conversations that might be uncomfortable?
The most common mistake that we make as people is that when dealing with a certain situation that is uncomfortable, we tend to forget that the problem itself is the problem. We shift blame and we look at the person. So what we do is we have a tendency of blame shifting. It's either that, or we have a tendency of making sure that we shut down because it's uncomfortable. So some people will rather keep quiet than actually address a matter. In so doing, they think that's them resolving the matter itself. Unfortunately, if this is a meaningful relationship, if you find yourself deciding to escalate maybe your feelings and emotions in such a setting, you find it that you will lose such a relationship. Within the workplace, you might find yourself in a very tricky situation where you will lose that paycheck, okay? And it's quite uncomfortable because sometimes it's not even your fault, but being able to have the necessary skills to say, okay, I'm going to put my own pride aside and actually tackle this head on and say, okay, what can I do in this situation in order to alleviate the stress caused by all of this?
When it comes to the professional setting, it's a different ball game, right? Because there's far more to consider there. So how do we navigate conflict in those spaces?
Okay, so there is one very common thing that we are taught by our elders. When you're in the workspace, you're not there to make friends. And listen, if you do make friends, you're lucky. But if you don't, please understand that you are meant to be professional within the workspace. So when you find yourself having to send a as per my previous email type of email, you always have to remember to keep it as professional as possible. So when you find it difficult to actually do your job because another person is now causing this rift or this problem, is constantly, there are people who thrive in chaos, by the way, so they look for problems. So when you find yourself in such a setting, I think it's always best to remember to step back. Sometimes choose your battles, because you can find that you want to fight a person, but then they're actually provoking you on purpose. They are looking for a reaction out of you, and therefore they know that, like I said, they're not your friend. Now you've told a person that, sometimes I just blow the top and I decide to just scream and whatever when I'm upset. Then they use that against you. They find your weakness, then after doing so, they make sure that they do it in front of your bosses, and then that will ultimately cause dismissal, right? So it's always best to be mindful of how you approach certain situations, especially those that you have no control over. And the other ones that you do have control over, always keep it as professional as possible. Let a person go crazy by themselves if they need to. If they want to make a noise, let them, and then escalate the matter to HR. What else can you do, you know? This is your paycheck, this is your livelihood. So it also, it speaks to a person's personality more than anything, and how you can grow as a person as well. When you find yourself in something that is so difficult at the workplace, you can actually use that in your personal life as well, when you can deal with it.
Well, listen, Lebohang, I think you've given us so much to consider, and we absolutely appreciate your advice. This has indeed been an incredibly valuable conversation, and I hope that with these tools, we can all approach disagreements as chances to connect, learn, and of course, build stronger relationships. Now, after the break, we chat to Sama winner Pretty Ugly and his gorgeous wife, Buntle Modiseli Moloi. We'll see you in a bit.